Return of the Mount Hua Sect, Chapter 136. I need to have this even if I die. Jinhyun, who moved away from the other disciples, looked at Chungmyeong and gulped. Just what the hell is up with this guy? There was no doubt that the man in the mask was Chungmyeong. He's called Mount Hua's Divine Dragon. Who the fuck gave him that name? Mount Hua's Evil Dragon, or Mount Hua's Demon is more appropriate. Or even Mount Hua's Mad Dog. These thoughts rang clearly in Jinhyun's head. He had no way of knowing that Chungmyeong had already earned the nickname Mad Dog within Mount Hua's walls, but he had no choice except to keep these thoughts to himself. He lost all curiosity concerning Chungmyeong's unnatural strength. Rather, he was 100 times more interested in what kind of experiences one had to go through to become so twisted. Chungmyeong, who came close enough that others could not hear, quietly spoke. So, what is the sword tomb? For now, please put that down. This? Chungmyeong shook what he was holding in his hand. It was Mujin's unconscious body. Put this down? You can hold on to it if you're comfortable. Jinhyun no longer seemed to care. I just hope this is a dream. But there was no way that it was a dream. No matter how cruel a nightmare is, it would never be more terrifying than what is seen now. If nightmares are based on human imagination, then this could never happen. Because this had exceeded the limit. Don't waste any time. Just tell me about it. What is the sword tomb? Please, promise me something first. If I tell you, will you return Mujin's Sasuk and not hurt us? When did I hurt you? That was true. Anyway. Okay, yes, fine. But do you think I'll listen to everything you say? He was still the same as at the start. Jinhyun sighed and began to speak about what he knew. This situation couldn't be resolved without giving up this information anyway. It's a grave. Grave? Chungmyeong narrowed his eyes. Have you even started grave robbing now? Is the Wudang sect running low on money? It's not like that. Jinhyun was curious how this man could twist every word he said upside down, but it felt pointless to question. The grave of untraceable seizing sword. Huh? Chungmyeong's eyes widened in shock. Untraceable sword? Huh? He was the strongest swordsman in the world 200 years ago. Ah, right! He was a master that exceeded Chungmyeong. To be precise, he was the best in the world. Chungmyeong tilted his head. So, this sword tomb is his grave? Yes. And you're trying to unearth it? Yes. Chungmyeong shook his head. Why? Huh? Is there a reason? There was a reason that Chungmyeong asked this question. The best in the world was the most glorious title. Anyone who lives in the martial world dreams of standing at the apex. Even those that recognize their own failings and know they will never reach the peak still imagine themselves in that position at least once. The title of Best in the World was a romantic dream all martial artists aspire toward. Surprisingly, however, many people pass through the position of world's greatest. Even if there's only one such genius in each generation, over 100 years, there could be 4 or 5 that achieve the title of Best in the World. In reality, there's no way there could only be one. There will always be someone that challenged a position at the apex of the world and overcome the previous generation. If such a thing frequently repeated over 100 years, more than 10 such warriors could win the title. Perhaps, if the war of the heavenly demonic sect had never occurred, Chungmyeong would have taken the name. Many great warriors would flee when they heard that Chungmyeong was coming for them. They would make up all sorts of excuses so that they could never face each other properly. They might have become stepping stones for Chungmyeong's reputation if they hadn't fled. No matter what anyone said, Chungmyeong was a swordsman that was even recognized by the heavenly demon. The untraceable seizing sword. He was one of the best in the world 200 years ago. Was he that powerful? Of course, he was called the best, but there were many strong people. The problem was that the one telling the story was from Wudang. Perhaps, if it was an ordinary person, such a story would be shocking. But there was no way that the Wudang would simply go grave robbing for such a person. The value of the tomb changes depending on who is searching for it. Jin-hyun explained. Recently, a robber broke into one of the Wudang temples. Over the course of catching and investigating the man, we were able to obtain a treasure map. And it's close to Nanyang? Yes. You know the rough location, but hadn't been able to pinpoint the exact location. So you were going to investigate. However, if the Wudang sect rushed in and began to search recklessly, then people would become suspicious. Right. Chongmyung nodded his head. Makes sense. It did seem strange at first. Nanyang isn't a huge city. No. Once again, it is too small to draw the attention of the Wudang sect. The Hwa sect was able to survive until now because Nanyang is such a minor area that other sects have no interest in it. It was unbelievable that the Wudang suddenly wanted to expand their operations here. Still, it makes no sense to pick a fight with Mount Hua, right? Well, we apologize. Jin-hyun couldn't say that they were collateral damage, so he apologized. Alright. Yes. What's in the sword tomb? That... Jin-hyun hesitated a bit before he opened his mouth. Do you know who the untraceable seizing sword is? The best in the world, once upon a time. No. Do you know his deeds? I don't. Chongmyung answered proudly. Why would he have been interested in a man that lived 100 years ago when he barely had time to learn martial arts and drink his alcohol? Seizing sword. His title was quite literal. He didn't belong to any particular sect. He mysteriously appeared one day and challenged the swordsmen of the world. What's more, he had won every battle. It's a pretty obvious story. Starting from now, it isn't so obvious. After he won, he would always take his opponent's most prized possession as a trophy of war. Huh? He stole their swords away. Why? I don't know. Jin-hyun shrugged. How can we know the intentions of a person from 200 years ago? Anyway, he gathered all the swords of the masters of that era and then suddenly disappeared. If it's the weapons of masters... Yes, it was obviously divine weapons. Chongmyung made a strange expression. That's right. Those who attain a high enough level of martial arts can practice their techniques even without the help of divine weapons. But that's only half right and half wrong. It may not be needed, but having it was surely better. In addition, if they were masters of their era, they were bound to be in the highest position of their sects. Don't the high-ranking people always hoard the good stuff for themselves? I don't need these shiny divine weapons now, so share it amongst yourselves. Such thoughts are quite a rare thing. People have a hard time letting go of something already in their hands. Then all the weapons of each sect were taken away? Right. They just gave them away? I don't know for sure, but it seemed like a bet was made. If you lose, you give me your weapon. And if I lose, I return all the weapons I've taken. Anyone would accept such conditions. It was an inevitable bet. But everyone lost. Yes. Chongmyung nodded. And the sword tomb. After he disappeared, rumors about the tomb began to spread. The man gathered all the weapons he had taken and stored them in a single location. He then created a tomb and even left behind his martial arts. Those who seek the sword tomb will have the world in their hands. It's fine. After that, the rest is obvious. Chongmyung had a gloomy expression on his face, as if he had suddenly lost all interest. Just some ordinary legend and cliché story, and you think it's true? Yes. We didn't believe it until we got our hands on the map. It felt sophisticated. Enough. Obvious nonsense. Chongmyung shrugged his shoulders. So you're trying to dig up the tomb and get your hands on this guy's weapons and martial arts? Yes. Jinhyun had a regretful expression, and Chungmyeong nodded his head. Oh, really? Yes. I see. Chungmyeong, who was looking at Jinhyun, grabbed Moojin by the collar. Huh? And slapped him without hesitation. What are you doing? If the junior does something wrong, the senior has to be hit. If you were educated properly, you wouldn't be lying with such a straight face. Hey, wake up, you son of a bitch! Slap. Slap. Moojin's head was struck left and right. You're going to spit your lies at me? No, it's not a lie. You didn't lie, but it made no sense either. You're not saying everything, right? Take a look at what you did. I need to wake this bastard up now. What are you talking about? I really did tell you everything. It was at that moment. Chungmyeong's face suddenly appeared right next to Jinhyun. Do you think I'm some idiot? What? Wudang is covetous of another man's martial arts? The Wudang sect? Oh my. If Elder Sambong heard this, he would jump from his grave to pierce your heads. What nonsense are you saying? Jinhyun kept his mouth shut. And what? Weapons? Hey, dumbass. If you take all the weapons that were stolen, do you think the other sect would just say, oh, okay, thank you, and leave you alone? Everyone would attack the Wudang sect to reclaim their stolen heirlooms. Lies just keep pouring from this kid's mouth. Enough. What good would come from beating you? The one who deserves to be hit needs to be hit. Hey, wake up. Slap. When Chungmyeong slapped Moojin again, Jinhyun panicked and grabbed the hem of his robe. He might die. I already told you I wouldn't kill him. But he might really die. I know what I'm doing. Don't worry. How the hell could I not worry, you idiot? Even though Jinhyun held Chungmyeong's sleeve and begged him, Chungmyeong continued to grab Moojin by the collar. Did you think that I wouldn't be able to tell that you were hiding information? The fact that all of you came here together shows there's more at play here. You could have just taken the map and come yourself. Instead, Chungmyeong's eyes turned an eerie cold. You need to pay for playing with the lives of others. I won't kill you. Instead, I'll make sure that you never hold the sword again. Chungmyeong was enraged, and Jinhyun felt bewildered as his eyes trembled at the sudden shift in the atmosphere. This guy might really do what he's saying. If Moojin is crippled here, then Jinhyun would live his life in regret. Die! Chungmyeong's fist flew for Moojin's face. Frightened, Jinhyun quickly shouted, Yakson! The fist stopped. Moojin's hair fluttered all around from the wind caused by the sudden stop. What? Yakson. Yakson? Jinhyun continued. Yaksun is the goal. Yakson? Yes. The same Yaksun who is said to be able to create a great deal of medicine? Yes. The Yaksun from over 200 years ago who was known as the most outstanding pill maker of all time? Yes. One of his pills is enough to raise the dead and give more strength than any supreme pill. Chungmyeong's eyes began to glow. A fervent hope and ravenous desire. Jinhyun was unable to answer and flinched. However, Chungmyeong's eyes were already passionately ignited. The sword tomb is the tomb of Yakson? That Yakson? Yes. Chungmyeong kept rubbing his lips with his sleeve. He seemed to have forgotten that he was wearing a mask. Yakson, right. If that's the case, then Wudang would definitely pull such a shit, right? That is absolutely Is it? What? Where is it? At that moment, Jinhyun witnessed it. The Taoist had lost all reason and given in to his desires. The terrifying energy flowing from the eyes terrified him even more. Where is it? Where is my medicine, you bastard? Why is it already yours? That, I really don't have an answer.